like weird. So yeah.
Well,
That's the
since
age.
Dr. Smiley was a scientist, physics and chemistry teacher, I can't help but educate the public. We went ahead and you may not even know some of this stuff, so just hang in there. Just in case you didn't know where your meniscus is, you can find it right there, Danny. And and then we have, of course, the side angle.
Yeah, I
And
appreciate that.
and
Yeah.
here, 40,000 are happy patients just from tearing their meniscus. I just want to point out there's happiness after meniscus tears.
Yeah, I can't wait to have had. I'm looking forward to another scar. That's what I was hoping for. Yeah. So
Tim Ferriss, he had me hooked when he says, I looked at how easy it would be to get this.
that I can look at any portion of my life and where I've been or what I've done, and I can just see that the opportunity arose, and I put my head down and went at it and worked at it consistently and as hard as I could in order to achieve what I needed to.
That's awesome. I was looking at a couple of photos from the event, and I wanted to say Brandon Gaydoris was the one who cemented that experience. And I just want to show that really quickly, and I have something to add to that point that you were just making. So this is you all getting excited being introduced. How many shows do you do a year, Danny?
That's a crazy question, because I used to say pre-COVID I did about 200 shows a year. Now there really is less people doing events now. It's changed, so I'm probably more like 60 or 70 a year right now.
All right. And this is just before my son was heading up there. And then I just wanted to show this giddy photo of you. I think it just really shares how your energy is when you
That's
are.
it.
I mean,
That's
is
me coming up on stage. I couldn't be more
that's,
excited.
yeah, right there. You're just so excited. And you had just pounded, I think, 14 caffeine drinks, if I recall.
This isn't a show about picking on my mother, but my mother chose to be with a man that didn't want children, and I was the last in the home. So she made that step going forward, which I'm confident if we were to ask her today, she regrets. But we live in a different world.
Welcome to the Dr. Smiley Show. Very excited. Many, many years waiting to be on his waiting list to have him be on my show. So here we are without any further ado, Danny Zzzz. And he is an illusionist, a magician, a world record holder, a mentalist, and a good friend.
Wow. That's so nice of you to say. I don't know if you had to wait a few years, but no matter what, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I met you initially through through Mr. Gaydoris.
Okay.
And you had my son up on the stage, and it was one of those times you just pinch yourself and you say, this is a daddy moment that I got big points for. And so thank you for always, working the crowd in a great way and also making people feel special. I know my son certainly did.
Yeah, well, you know what? You and I are both very proud parents. And I think that as a father, anybody should be trying to find ways to highlight their child or to try to bring value to them and stuff like that. And under those circumstances, I think that if you were on stage and doing something that I could have steered my children into that realm, I would have. But it was perfect timing. And in turn, I got a friend out of it. So that's great.
Yeah, I probably have some lovely photos to share later in the show, but I do want to at least show people the Danny Zzzz. So if you ever have Danny on your show and you want to read from his website who he is and what he does, this is a great place to do it. But very nice website. It looks like you've done some things with your life.
One or two things, right? I've had a pretty colorful life, I have to say. When I look back at what I've done, I don't necessarily measure it as the accolades of look what I've accomplished. I think that I just have a raging ignorance of doubt, and I continue to try to do things over and over until I find success in them or until I feel like I've gotten good value.
That sounds kind of like a Mark Twainism.
Yeah, you think?
Well, he says those that are dumb enough to think they can succeed usually do, because
That's true.
they're not being stopped by overthinking things or the mindset. So I wanted to, I guess, start off with these world records you had. I'm sorry I missed them those days. I just didn't know you were going to do that.
Yeah, I have. I think that we live in a world where people do crazy things. I have a friend who has more than 20 world records, and they're the craziest things. The most tacks in the back or most ridiculous things. Like he just does the most ridiculous things. And for me, my records are in aerial escapes. I'm an escape artist. So as proud as I am of having any world record, I must say that there's just not a lot of people hanging from their feet from a helicopter in a straitjacket. Like it really narrows the field as to who might compete. So my records, although I'm very proud of, are very unique because people don't do what I do.
Why would you do these crazy things? I mean, I know going back to Mark Twain, it's just you're
Yeah.
just daring enough, right?
No. I can tell you. Uh, uh, I don't want to take the wind out of our sails just as we start our conversation, but looking back at my life, I have, at a young age, I lost my brother. At mid age, I lost my father. And as an adult, I lost my son. And I can say to you, the three wise men in my life is what I refer to them as, taught me that our birth certificate doesn't have an expiry date. We don't get to pick when we go. So I hope that I live a very long and happy and healthy life, but I'm going to live for today just in case I don't. And I think probably losing a sibling at a very, very young age. My brother was 22 when he passed, and I would have been 18, 19 years old. And I think that that was the thing that set it for me, was the fact that he was so young and had accomplished nothing. And under those circumstances, it really gave me the drive to try to make something out of every single day. And now I'll be 56 in a few months, and it's been a lot of years since I was 18. So if you try to make the best of every single day and you look back at your life and you haven't accomplished some really fantastic things, I think that you got to kick your butt off the couch and find some life.
Well, I didn't know we were going to go that direction so quick either. So you know, we're getting near the end of the year,
Yep.
and some people reflect and say, did I really do something great this year? What did I accomplish? Am I proud of it? And then, of course, whether you're a New Year's resolution person or not, how big do you want to play the next year? And
Mm-hmm.
I think, to your point, I don't think I would be an author or a lot of things if my mom hadn't passed. So it
Mm-hmm.
and you had the three wise men, so a lot
Yeah.
of kicks.
It's so interesting, and it's such a beautiful thing to talk about, and I mean that sincerely. Um, we all should have a bucket list in life. We all should have things that we are striving for or wanting to do. I think that's very, very important. And when you take a look at what a bucket list is, somebody could say climb Mount Everest. Well, there's so many people aren't going to do that. Like your bucket list has to be something that you can really achieve, something that you can really do. You're a friend of mine who believes in the power of pen to paper. Like, I mean, you write books for a living, and you recognize that when somebody puts the words together and put them in a book, they're timeless. People can learn from what you write and what you share, and the people who you help become authors and the things that you do. You're creating a history, so to speak, that people can marvel over for the rest of their lives. I often say my life is very much like that. It's pen to paper. And what does your page say about you? It's if I don't want to set the pen down. I want to make sure that what I am writing on a day-to-day basis is worth the read. So when I consider my bucket list, sometimes my bucket list isn't what people would think. That standard bucket list is what I referred to earlier, climbing a mountain or going on a trip. I can say to you that a part of my bucket list today would be to dance with my wife in the kitchen. It would be to hug and kiss my children goodnight. It would be to enjoy a good coffee or be on a great show with a friend. Your list doesn't have to be out of reach, but it still needs to be something that you can achieve and something that you can set goals for. With that in mind, I have swam in the Bermuda Triangle. I've climbed mountains. I've hung from helicopters. I've done the most ridiculous things. And it's not because I had them on my bucket list. It's because my faith tells me that my faith says to me, God doesn't open doors, he cracks them. It's like you don't get everything for free. If you want something, it requires some work. So when an opportunity arises, if there's a door that's cracked open, or if there's something there that looks like it's achievable and I want to do it, I kick in the door and say, hey, I'm here. Hey, everybody, it's me, Danny Z. And I do it. And because of that, when we look at my past, it's a very, very colorful past, because I just kick open every single door. Sometimes they're locked, but I still
Mm.
go in and say, what's going on in here? And I think that if you can live your life with that attitude and don't let life get in the way of your achievements. You can achieve anything. And sometimes people say, my knees hurt, or I have dietary restrictions, or I can't afford it, or you could give yourself 1,000 ors. But as an escape artist, I can say to you that the importance of escaping the things that confine us are so relevant. If you are in a bad relationship, if you are in a job that you don't like, if you have financial restrictions, you got to take a look at that, what's confining you. You have to look at the order of operations in which you need to escape, and then you need to get out of that. And it's escaping the problem isn't the issue. People are afraid to get into the new box. We get so compliant with what we're doing that we're afraid to step forward into something new. And that's where all my amazing memories have come from, is because I'm not afraid to step into something new. I'm not afraid to try, because at worst I will fail and have tried. At
Mhm.
worst. Yeah.
How old were you when you experienced your first loved one passing?
I was trying to do the math in my head, but I think I was 19. My brother was 22, and unfortunately, he drowned, which is a tragedy in itself. And it's very heavy for a young man to deal with that. Any person, well, any person to deal with that. But I was too young to experience something so traumatic in my life, and I would like to say to you that from that point forward, I was brave and tried things. No, I was a basket case and filled with tears and emotions and all kinds of hardships. Life wasn't easy, but I had to let my grief step aside, and I had to start celebrating the life that I had with him and not grieve the time that I had lost. And once that mental block changed, I started to live my life a little differently and reflect on my relationships differently.
So before his passing, where were you born?
St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, which is still where I live. My brother and I lived across the hall from each other in an apartment where we
Mm,
had lived like that for a year. And that was a huge part of the loss, was because he lived right there. Like
right.
we used to, I'm old, so we used to get together in the evenings and make spaghetti and meatballs and watch David Letterman at 11 o'clock at night,
Mhm.
and have a cup of tea and go to bed. Like because we lived across the hall from each other, we had a close relationship. And when that occurred, it was an immediate void in my day to day. And if you don't fill that void with something, the hollowness and the emptiness of what you're missing is consuming. And that's such an important part of grief, and how you handle it and how you move past, is you have to fill that void. That cavity is so incredibly consuming that you got to step past it.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting aspect of the human condition is that you can lose somebody and you lose yourself, or you can lose somebody and find yourself. And
Yeah, incredible line right there. Yeah.
it is. And, some of the biggies, the personal growth speakers in the world say, two brothers, both had their knee shot off, and one said it's suicide time. The other one said, gosh, I'm so glad I have my life still. I have my
Yeah.
body.
Right.
Speaking of which, you like to tear your meniscus, if I hear, and it's one of your favorite things to do.
As a magician, an illusionist, and even a hypnotist, I've never hurt myself. Once I stepped into the escapology realm, I found myself at the emergency room many, many times. I've had 9 operations. I've been in the hospital countless times, to the doctors even more than that. It turns out when you're hanging from something and you fall, you hurt yourself.
Right.
And I find that the older I get, the more I hurt myself. Like it's a young man's game. Do you remember being in your 20s and hurting yourself, and you just kind of brush it off and you're like, yeah, tomorrow we're going to do some more. And now I'm like, yeah, I need some Advil, and I need to lay down and no one talk to me, and then bruising, and they don't go away as fast. And how do I get a bruise where I didn't even hurt myself? Like, it's weird. So yeah, I'll
Well, since
stage.
Dr. Smiley was a scientist, physics and chemistry teacher, I can't help but educate the public. We went ahead and you may not even know some of this stuff, so just hang in there. Just in case you didn't know where your meniscus is, you can find it right there, Danny.
Yeah,
And and then we have, of course, the side angle.
I
And
appreciate that.
and
Yeah.
here, 40,000 are happy patients just from tearing their meniscus. I just want to point out there's happiness after meniscus tears.
Yeah, I can't wait to have had. I'm looking forward to another scar. That's what I was hoping for. Yeah. So
So, Tim Ferriss, he had me hooked when he says, I looked at how easy it would be to get this world record, and I think it was wrestling or something like that, or
yeah.
the Olympics. And actually, I don't want to say he was world record. I just want to say he got a gold. That's what he went for. And so he learned the rules and how to break them. So your two world records, can you share why you picked them? And I'm sure you picked other ones, but those are,
No, I didn't. I didn't even pick them. I'm so blessed to work in the Got Talent industry, so to speak, meaning I do all of these ridiculous Got Talents, that it was their idea. And I did the highest aerial escape, and the next country I went to wanted to beat that. So they did the higher aerial escape to beat that record. And then they probably argued amongst themselves. And the third one, because those two are the same record, I don't count that.
yeah.
There's just a fighting amongst television broadcasting groups. And then the next one was the highest aerial escape on fire. So um, like I said, there's nobody else wants to do the highest aerial escape on fire. I'm the only one. Nobody wants that. No, I know you're not going to get off the podcast here and the Zoom here and say, I'm going to beat his record today. I'm going to go 400 feet on fire hanging from my feet. Like, I feel like it's pretty secure.
Yeah, I noticed that you didn't have any inclination to say, "Hey, listen, folks, I know you're hearing this, and it's a very easy world record to attempt, but do not attempt this at high altitudes or on towers."
No, please listen. If you guys want to try to beat that, please do it. Yeah, please see what you can do. The issue a lot of times is the helicopter. They're so not easy to get a hold of, right? So yeah, yeah.
And how many years after 19 did you say you're going to start pursuing the entertainment, or how long had you been doing that before? I mean, were you like the teenage magician in the neighborhood?
No, no,
No.
I never liked magic until quite some time after. Uh when I was very young, 13 years old, I was homeless. I think that's a story that our age group starts.
Hmm.
And the reason why I say that is because I'm in my mid 50s. We go back 40, 45 years ago. The resources that are available today weren't available back then. So I can say to you, for any of the people who are watching or listening, I can say to you, the first thing that you would think of is, how could a 13-year-old be homeless? That's the first thing. And why wasn't there resources, or why wasn't there a family and children's services or something in there to swoop in and give him a home? That many years ago, you fell through the cracks if you weren't brought somewhere. If somebody didn't pick you up and take you to a shelter in some fashion, nobody knew. We didn't have social media and internet and all of those amazing at your fingertips resources. You wanted to research something, you went to the library.
Hmm.
If you didn't have and even back then, everybody didn't have cars like they have now or all of that stuff. It was certainly in our area, it was a more of a depressed state, meaning the financial resources and the things that weren't available that are available now. So I found myself in a homeless situation, and I just got a job. I mean,
Hmm.
even at 13, you say, like, you look at your beautiful boy in the background and you try to imagine what a 13-year-old boy would do. And I got a job in our region. We have what was called the farm labor pool. And what that means is you go to a specific area, and farmers would show up and they would pick people to go and work for them.
Hmm.
And then they would take them out to the farm for the day, and you would pick fruit or you would do whatever they needed you to. And then they would drive you back to the farm labor pool at the end of the day, and they would pay you in cash. So I went there, but I was a kid, so I wasn't getting picked. And at the end of like 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning, when there was nobody else there was a truck that came up, and it was a pig farmer looking for someone to shovel pig manure, and
Hmm.
nobody wanted that job. And I said that I would do it. And the farmer took me out to his farm, and I shoveled pig manure all day. And I can remember, I even wrote about this in my book. I can remember at lunchtime sitting in the ditch crying, covered in pig manure, and just so unhappy with who I was at that point and what I was going through. And at the end of the day, the farmer was paying me, and I said, "Don't I get paid at the end of the week?" And he laughed and said, "Nobody comes back the second day." And he gave me the money, and I went and washed myself off with somebody's hose and got as cleaned up as I could. And the next day I was at the farm labor pool again. And he showed up and I got in the truck and he was surprised. And I had that job for almost 2 years,
Mm.
if you consider that. And the home that I lived in, my mom had a rented apartment and my mom had moved out and left me there. So I made enough money to put in an envelope. When the landlord came, I gave it to him like it was my mom's money. And that's how I paid my rent. And I tell you that story because it doesn't make me strong. If anything, it broke me in many ways. It made me have to be responsible and make decisions that a person shouldn't have to at that age. And but it made me very resourceful and businesslike. And in high school, I was very artistic. I could draw almost anything. We have a family of artists in our family, and I used to, with magic markers, draw tattoos on everybody's arms that wanted them at lunchtime. It was kind of like one of those fun things. And when I was 18 years old, I graduated high school and opened a tattoo shop, having never done it before. I just put myself out there and tried something new, and I had a good network of friends that supported me. And I created a business that eventually grew to 5 tattoo shops, 29 tattoo artists, and 14 body piercers. And we had the largest manufacturing company of body piercing jewelry in Canada.
Wow.
And I went from 18 until my mid 20s to grow a business like that. And I look back at it and I talk about it quite often. And that's not luck. I wasn't lucky. I
Mm.
worked my ass off. I from a very young age just knew that nobody was going to show up for me. I had to show up for myself. So I had to go to work in the morning. I had to pay the rent. I had to go to school. Those weren't a choice. I had to. In high school, I worked at the cafeteria and I got all the leftovers. I was on the football team and I would wash my clothes when I washed the jerseys because I volunteered to wash the jerseys at the school laundry. My lockers were filled with my clothes and my things. I had to become very, very resourceful in order to just to live. And then by the time I was in my late teens, when my brother passed, I had already built a system of just understanding the ethics of working hard and being self-resourceful and self-responsible. And after that, I can look at any portion of my life and where I've been or what I've done, and I can just see that the opportunity arose, and I put my head down and went at it and worked at it consistently and as hard as I could in order to achieve what I needed to.
That's awesome. I was looking at a couple of photos from the event, and I wanted to say Brandon Gaydoris was the one who cemented that experience. And I just want to show that really quickly, and I have something to add to that point that you were just making. So this is you all getting excited being introduced. How many shows do you do a year, Danny?
That's a crazy question because I used to say pre-COVID I did about 200 shows a year. Now there really is less people doing events now. It's changed, so I'm probably more like 60 or 70 a year right now.
All right. And this is just before my son was heading up there. And then I just wanted to show this giddy photo of you. I think it just really shares how your energy is when you
That's
are.
it.
I mean, that
That's
is,
me coming up on stage. I couldn't
yeah,
be more
that's,
excited.
yeah, right there. You're just so excited. And you had just pounded, I think, 14 caffeine drinks, if I recall. You
It's,
stayed.
you know what, coffee. The importance of coffee is a must in my life.
So
Yeah,
you said earlier that you had a family of artists in your family, and I just want to say I wish I had gone that route because I had a family of artists outside my family. So it was tougher to us for us to all get together because they were outside.
sure, sure.
Uh, One other thing, you said you didn't think it was luck, and you hit another Mark Twainism, which is the harder I work, the luckier I get.
That's true. You know what? You have to show up for yourself. That's something that I realized very, very young is when you're doing it for you. And I was doing it because I had to. It wasn't a choice. Okay.
Right.
I had to eat. I had to live somewhere. I had to do something. And I didn't know what to do. So I was
Hey,
constantly finding
Danny,
myself. Yes.
sorry to interrupt, but I will say that you felt you had to because you would not allow another choice. But I do think you chose to win. I just want to interject that because
That's no, and I appreciate that. And that's very kind of you to say. really what I'm wanting to people to understand is when you show up for yourself, you do it differently. I'm going to go down a brief rabbit hole. Um, I have a tattoo on my side that says "in the face of my father," and what that means to me is if I'm going to do something, I would do it thinking that my father was watching over my shoulder and making sure that I did it right or offering suggestions. As a father, I can say to you that when my children are doing something and I'm there, I let them do it. I even let them fail or let them try to experience the experience as it happens. But as I say that, I can say, you drop that or that happened. Why? Let's try it this way. And you try to mold them and teach them into being that person that they need to create within themselves. So the idea of the tattoo in the face of my father, I think to myself, I don't want to do anything that I wouldn't do in order to make my family proud or my father proud, so to speak. And I think that the ideology, and it doesn't necessarily mean my biological father, it just means that I want to achieve success that if I was being watched, nobody would look at me condescendingly as
Mm.
I did it. That's all. And I've had those values in everything I do. When I go on stage, I'm excited to be on stage because I'm being watched by people who I hope to inspire, make them believe in things that just seem unbelievable. I'm hoping to make them believe in themselves. So if I don't go on stage giddy and full of life, if I don't step on stage knowing that I'm going to give everything that I'm going to give, I shouldn't go on stage. And if
Mm.
I'm not nervous before I step on stage, I shouldn't step on stage anymore because it, as an entertainer, what I'm bringing to the table is so incredibly strong, and it's such a gift to give and a gift to receive that if every performance isn't my best performance, it's a loss.
I have a whole slew of questions that are from your story that you told. So it's just
Yeah,
going back there and pop them in. Okay. So
yeah.
the first one was when you were 13 and you were homeless, you said you had a brother and no other siblings, and was he homeless too?
I had two older brothers. I had a 13. When I was 13, my brother who had passed would have been
16,
17,
17. Okay.
16, 17. I think it was almost 4 years. And then the same amount over than that, 21. So they were both older and established and living on their own. My mother and I lived together, and uh, she this isn't a show about picking on my mother, but my mother chose to be with a man that didn't want children, and I was the last in the home.
Hmm.
So she made that step going forward, which I'm confident if we were to ask her today, she regrets. But we live in a different world,
Mhm.
and I could have went to my brothers. I didn't. I can't tell you what I was thinking 43
Right.
years ago. I can't
Right.
tell you what my mindset was, but I think that I just felt abandoned enough that I didn't want to be a burden on somebody else. So until I needed that, and I can say to you in my life moving forward, I leaned on my brothers or leaned on people. It wasn't just me self-sufficient for my whole life. That would be a lie. I did sleep on couches or be with people. I mean, I there was lots of people who were huge supports in me growing to where I was. But at that moment, in that time, in that first year or 2 years, I just felt abandoned enough that I wasn't strong enough to go somewhere else and be abandoned again. I just needed to deal with it and do it.
Gotcha. And so the pig and manure story, the guy, he got to know you a little bit. Did he give you a break? I'm kind of thinking it was the
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
Creatures Great and Small that it became a TV show afterwards.
Yeah, you know what? I give the man his name was Albert Neufeld. I'm confident only because of my own age. He's probably passed by now, but he was an older man back then, and he didn't ask a lot of questions. I think that those mentors or people who help us in life, they just know, they don't say. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that he knew something wasn't right, and but so he picked me up and dropped me off, and didn't ask a lot of questions, but he always had extra sandwiches or a coat that didn't fit him anymore. Like he found a different way to
Mhm.
approach my situation. And I'll tell you, about a year and a half, 2 years into it, I was riding my bike. It got to the point where I could ride my bike to the farm. He didn't have to pick me up anymore. And I was riding my bike to the farm. And I'm going to say something that sounds funny, and it's nothing funny about it, but I could smell bacon. And the closer I got, um, I the barns all burned down.
The what?
The barns, they burnt down.
Oh boy.
He had 7 barns of pigs, and a fire came and burnt down. And when I got there, he was crying as he would be, and he was devastated as he would be. And uh, he hugged me and gave me, I think, $400 or $500 back then, which was a tremendous amount of money.
Hmm.
And he said he was so sorry. And I rode my bike home, and that's how that job ended. And
Wow.
and you know what? It's perspective, because I could look at it at that young age, being 14 and 15 years old, and just losing my first job, not even by my fault, but losing a job that I was counting on to pay for my livelihood. And I could look at that woe is me moment. That man lost his farm, lost
Yeah.
livestock that he loved, lost his livelihood on such a higher level that, in perspective, what I had lost was so little in compared to what him and his family lost. And sometimes we think that our problems are so large when in perspective they're so small. And it's not the problem that holds you down. It's your inability to do something with what just you had just experienced. And for me to be talking about this 40, 50, 30, 40 years later and telling the story about Mr. Neufeld and his family and how they helped me is a measurement of how important he was as a human being.
You know, I'm taking Duolingo, and I don't think I'll ever be polished enough to do this show in Spanish or French, but I will. I'll at least, if anyone in Spanish is trying to learn English and they're here and they don't exactly understand what Danny Z just said, he said los cerdos y la granja se quemaron, and that is that the pigs in the farm burned up. So
Hmm.
it's because you never know if someone's going to listen in. They're like,
That's true. It's
that
good
part
that
was.
you were quick with that, and I appreciate that. Yeah.
So, your kids, are they looking to follow your footsteps?
Oh gosh, I hope not. For the love of God, don't do what I
No,
do.
no, but I'm talking about, don't they want to be a magician? Don't they want you to
Nobody
teach?
wants to be a magician. Who, like, what person in the world is like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be a magician. Like, what? Who does that?
All
I
right.
never
Well,
did magic. Let's go back to that conversation that we had about 10 minutes ago when you said, um, did you do magic as a kid?
yeah.
I bought my first magic trick at the Fairview Mall in St. Catharines. It's one of those tired malls that, half of the stores aren't even open. And I bought my first magic trick from a man named Bernie the Magician, Bernie the Magic Man. I was 36 years old. I had never done a magic trick before.
Hmm.
And I had these tattoo shops and these other businesses, and I was financially successful, and I was married, and I had a child, and I was established. And this is an interesting thing that I would ask you and ask anybody who's following along. I would say, if you had the financial resources to be stable and you could choose something to do, what would you choose? I chose to be a magician, and it was because I was looking to bring happiness to people and to do something different and unique. And I wasn't afraid to talk publicly or be in front of people. I mean, as a tattoo and body piercer, as a person in that form of business, a busy business, I was a people person. I talked to people every single day. So I understood the ideology of communication and how you have to make a person feel comfortable, especially if they're getting a minor surgical procedure. So how would I talk to somebody and make them feel good? And what was my pattern like? So I had already worked out character development. It was just a matter of learning something that I was able to share. So I fell into magic by accident, and I fell in love with the idea of the trickery that's behind it, and the equation and the romance of watching somebody believe. And because of that, I had the resources and the ability to pour myself into it and try something new and build a show. And um, I always wonder why people have vision boards, and I don't have a vision board. But next to my desk, I have area that I pin things up to once in a while. And I had written a note to myself on a picture of me, and I said, and because of my love of magic, I said, in the next year, I am going to be doing 2 to 3 shows a month was my goal that I wanted to be able to achieve professional shows. And
Hmm.
within a year, I had signed a contract to do 2 shows a day, 7 days a week. And I did that for 7 years without missing a show.
Hmm. That's a that's an impressive jump from two a month. You've done America's Got Talent in a lot of other countries, and I'm guessing you've done some countries that speak Spanish, so they're probably pretty happy about me translating that. And there's something like 64 countries that speak French, and I just want to say I don't want lawsuits. I don't want people riding my show that I didn't cover the French too. So just really quickly, les couchons et les fermiers ont brûlé, and that is going to cover us for the pigs in the farm burned.
I feel like that's going to be a callback over and over and over again. Yeah.
I won't do it anymore, but it is my segue to the fact that you are a worldly man and you were born in Canada. You certainly could put your toe over the United States, but you have been around the world. And one of the things I appreciate so much about you is you bring the world back to your community, bring it back to your family. And before we go there, you said your kids are not following necessarily, that you're not speaking to the fact that they're following, like, I want to be an entertainer. How many kids do you have?
I'm a proud father of six, three
Six.
boys, 3 girls.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought it was somewhere around there. So, if you want to give a shout out to them by name, by all means, I love to have dads say to their kids, "I love you," and you can do that right now if you'd
Yeah,
like.
listen, Mason is my eldest. Emily is my second. Then I have Aiden, Ever, Sophie, and Dash.
And the reason I do that, good sir, is
I have to
I
remember
do
the
these.
names. Yeah,
I do these smile shots. Well,
sure, of
I was
course.
pretty confident you'd do it because you've been practicing, and even
That's
before the
it.
show, you were going because you had your six fingers. Like, what is this about here that you're doing? Okay. Anyway, if I need someone to smile or I want them to reach their ultimate gratitude and joy, I say, just think of your kids. And
Yeah.
it's very few that go, oh.
No, you know what? My children are all my reasons. I can say to you, I've wanted to give up on so many things. Like, let me give you an example. This morning when I woke up, I thought I'm going to actually have to shower and come to the office in order to be on this event with you. And I thought to myself, you know what? I should just stay in bed and not answer. And then I thought of my children because I could hear them in the kitchen knocking stuff down and arguing amongst themselves over who's taking what for lunch to school today. And then I remembered why they're important to me. And I said, I got to get the hell out of this house. And here I am. Okay.
Well, you're being very kind, but I will just say that I sent you a text saying you would have an opportunity to say their names and that you love them so much. And you were like, I'm definitely there. So thank
Yeah,
you.
that's it. That's it. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So, did you watch a movie? It's a couple years old. It's called Mind Reader.
Nope.
The Mind Reader. Yeah, it's a movie I think you'll appreciate. You seem to be a bit of a religious man too, right?
I will say to you as you're pulling up something, I stopped watching TV in 2012.
Okay. So in 2025, you may continue that streak. You may continue that streak, but if you don't, I think you'd find this movie quite enjoyable. And
Huh.
it's entertaining and it's biblical and it's kind of cool. So it's got a Christian basis to it.
Nice. Yeah.
So,
You know what, I'll touch very briefly on that. I've always had religion in my life. I embraced my religion in the last handful or a number of years. And I don't know if we do that when we're getting older because we think we're closer to death. But I think that what my I want to say 3 years ago, I lost my son, and it just changed my own belief system because I just needed to know that there was more. I needed to hope that there was more. But I embraced it. I needed to embrace it for me to make sure that mentally I was strong and that I had a strong heart and belief system and a strong example for my other children. And it's for whatever reason you believe or don't believe, you have to own it. And for me, I can say to you hands down that my beliefs came because I was at a low. And I think that people who experience shows like this and do those things we all have highs and lows in our life, and we can't be consumed by the low, and we got to get through it.
I'd hate to be the director or the producer of the movie in 2012 that said, you know what, this is it, no more for me.
Yeah. When I stopped watching television, it was a choice, and I'll tell everyone why. Our cable, to buy cable, was like $250 a month. And I just thought to myself, I'm spending $250 a month to waste 4 or 5 hours every single day in the evening not living. And I called and canceled my cable and stopped watching television. And for probably 6 months, I went through withdrawals. Like, it's pretty crazy how addicted we are to that form. I think now, in today's society, we're replaced by TikTok and YouTube and the scroll of Facebook and all of those things. Am I still watching TV? I'm watching it on the small computer I have in my hand instead of the big screen that's on my wall. But I made the conscious decision that if I had an hour to watch television, I should put pen to paper and write. Or more importantly, here's a life lesson for everybody that's following along. I would not watch TV if I didn't text, call, or write to somebody that I love. So when I look at my cell phone, and we all have one, how many people are in your contact list? Like you yourself, for the amount of people that you meet and that you probably have hundreds of people in your contact list. And I'm going to challenge you and say to you this: there's people in your contact list that you haven't talked to in a year, but they're still on your contact list. If you're not reaching out to them and reminding them that they're on your contact list, which makes them valuable in the commodity of what your life is bringing forward, you should delete them. So what I do is, when I have nothing to do and I would normally turn the television on, I text or call somebody or send them an email and let them know that they're valid and they're on my contact list. And because of that, they're important enough that they should have that time over Wheel of Fortune or whatever it is.
So I receive what you say, and I agree with you. And I have two methodologies to make sure I touch every single person on my contact list, given that they shared their birthday. So I do want to share. I have 22,000.
There you go. Crazy.
That's 30 a day, roughly, birthdays. And I do it either by email or text. And I do send them something that connects them to me with regard to, hey, this is a recent show I did, or this is a book, how are you doing, kind of thing. Or I even send them a song. I sing it, like I do something unique and separate.
Sure. Yep.
The other thing is Dr. Greg Reed taught me this trick. You go to your contact and you just go like this, and you stop and you do 10.
Nice.
And so it's an arbitrary. And I agree with you. Why have them in your phone if you're never going to talk to them again?
Yeah, and I don't have that many. I really purge. Like I would be shocked if I even had 200 people in my contact list.
Well, I was blown away that you kept me in yours. I just want to say thank you.
Oh no, you weren't in there. If you didn't email me, I wouldn't even know who you are. But I do delete them, and it's not you know what, my life. Here's another Mark Twain for you. Okay. My life is like a school bus. It only holds 50 or 60 people, and I'm going in one direction. And if you'd like to go in that direction with me, I'd love for you to be on my bus. The people who sit closest to me at the seat, I'm the driver, the ones that sit in those sideways seats at the front, they're my family, or the people who are so close to me that I can turn and talk to them easily as I'm driving. And then the seats go back according to the people's importance. The people at the back of the bus, if they don't engage with me in any way, I'm happy to let them off at the next stop, because there's enough people who would like to be on my bus that I'll let somebody else on. But I only want people who are contributing and going in the same direction as I am and wanting something. If they're not like that, I'm happy to let them go. We all have our own vision, our own direction. So I really want to surround myself with people who are going somewhere and doing what I would like to do, or what they feel is valid and worthy of having me on their bus.
Well, being a well-read Mark Twain person, that was the excerpt in Celebrated Jumping Frog of Calvert County, and they removed that particular chapter. So a lot of you that buy the book after the show, you're going to find that chapter is not there anymore.
There you go. That's so funny.
What I love about you is that on the third or fourth time when you had texted me and go, "Who the heck is this?" And I said, "It's Ken Rashawn. It's Dr. Smiley. I met you." And you
I know
go,
I had to Google you after
"Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah." But you said, I said, "Man, you're buying so many new phones. I wish I could just be there the day you buy a phone, so I could be one of the contacts that goes in there." And then you said, "Listen, I'm just going to be straight. You're getting on the bus. So thank you."
That's it. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. You're still like you're two seats from the very back, but yeah, yeah,
Well, the
yeah.
thing also is that you said it's not just that you're in the back of the bus and you're going to be asked to get off, but you can actually take the exit window door. I mean, that
That's
was
it. The
that hurt.
emergency exit. You can push it back, push it back. You know what though? People, we joke about it, but people should be trying desperately to be at the next stop to get on your bus.
Mhm.
If you're moving in a positive direction and you're doing things, people should want to be on that journey with you. And if you look around your own life and you recognize you're coming to a stop and nobody's on it or your bus isn't full, perhaps the problem isn't the people around you. Perhaps it's the driver. So take a long look at the people you surround yourself with and the direction that you're going, because if you're going down a dark road or a bad path, people don't want to join you on that road. So perhaps it's time to turn it around and find a better journey. Reflect on yourself. Listen to this, be a part of this, and take a look at your contact list and the people who you hold secure and close. And if it's not a laundry list of supportive people, you got to reevaluate and escape whatever's holding you back.
I've done a lot of shows, and I don't think I've ever broached this topic, especially at this depth and this wisdom and that this Mark Twainism
Whoa.
level. But I want to say something that I normally would never share, and that is, I met a gentleman, Danny, and he had the same kind of ideology you do, and he says, "I got my 111," and I say, "What do you mean you got your 111?" He goes, "On my phone, I have a folder, and you're either in that folder and I care about you, or you're not in that folder and you may never hear from me again."
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I made a folder called 111
Yeah.
just because of,
Friendship is difficult. It requires a lot of work, and I can say with you, who you know that when we're together, we're together. Like at every event that we've been to, I mean, you and I tend to be sitting together, or I'm interacting with your child. Like I think that when we're lucky enough to be anywhere, we know that we have that kinship and that friendship, and I can say to you as somebody who I care about, it. I don't farm you like I should. I don't reach out and text as much as I should. Like our we live far enough apart and do enough away that it's difficult to have a good relationship with somebody. Requires that nurturing and that work and that farming. And the fact that you're able to text me or message me or email me and say I want you to do this and we can go back and forth at it, that it does show that we're planting roots and we're growing in some fashion, and that's what a relationship should be. And I don't know, I think to the people who I do delete off of my phone or who aren't a part of it, and that's when you lob something out there and they don't get back. That's when you're texting somebody or messaging them and they don't have the time to get back to you or engage. I think that relationships require work, and if you don't want to put the work in, yeah, it's time to delete that 112.
yes. And I mean, that's where the year is ending. And those are the ones I mean, a smart business person or a smart person analyzing the quality of life really should look at who their 10% top is and duplicate that level, and who their bottom is and let them be free. Let
That's
you
it.
be free of it.
That's it. Cut the cord. Cut the
Cut the
cord.
cord. So we started a little conversation about America's Got Talent, and there are people that think that only America's Got Talent, but you found out that there's some other countries, and they're all biting for your love and time.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. I think the first Got Talent I did was AGT 16, and I'm really thinking if that was the first one. But it was, I can remember the moment so clearly and perfectly. Um, I was going to do America's Got Talent, and we were set up to do something ridiculous. And we had shot some stuff inside the studio, and we were at the Santa Monica Boulevard Pier, and we were shooting a little bit of a commercial out on the pier. And a producer called and said to me, "Do you have a minute?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "We're just doing this," and they said, "We we have to halt production for a week or two. We're going to send you home." And I was disappointed, and I was like, "What do you mean you're going to send me home? Like, why?" And they said, "There's this virus, this thing that's happening, and it's like a flu. It'll probably last a couple of weeks. We'll have you back in 2 weeks. It's called COVID. And the very beginning of the outbreak of COVID, I was on AGT 16, I believe it was, and they flew us home because of this virus. And so I didn't even get on the show. I was on the show, meaning I was there. We had shot production, we had commercials and all of those things, but it was canceled because of COVID. And so I flew home, and then we all know it wasn't 2 weeks. It turned out to be like 2 years, but during COVID, a number of other countries still had production, or they hadn't shut down the way Canada and the United States had shut down during that time. So I started to do other countries that were looking for television content, because it seems that when you're locked in your house 24 hours a day, you watch more TV, from what I understand. So the television companies really took off, and my phone started to ring, and I started to do a number of the other shows. And with the success of each one of them, there was more and more and more. And I just finished my 17th Got Talent, and it's taken me and my friends and my family literally all over the world. And in traveling, not just for those 17 Got Talent, but in television and shows, because of it, it's brought me to 50 countries. And
You
it's
know, you
ridiculous.
should do your 18th one. In my opinion, you should do that in Romania. That's where I would go if I were you.
That's it. Well, my 17th one was in Romania. The
Oh,
18th one is, yeah, the 18th one that's coming is
well, you know what they
yeah,
say. 18th should be in Kazakhstan or Nepal. Easy.
that's it. That's it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, the phone keeps ringing, so I'm super lucky that that what I do is unique enough that it becomes a portion of television. I will say that I'm the cookies on the buffet. Do I think I will ever win a Got Talent? No. An escape artist is never going to win a talent that singers and dancers and locals perform. But if every day you turned on the television and the entire show was people trying to audition as a singer, it would be called The Voice. If people were just trying to be a dancer, it'd be called Dancing with the Stars. If it's Got Talent of that country, it has to be a mixture of many things. It has to be a variety show. And there's only so many hula hoop people or jugglers that you can throw on there, that you need something unique. And as an escape artist, there's only about 8 of us that travel the globe, and we all know each other. As a professional escape artist, and I say that as a profession, because when you go down that rabbit hole of this is your life, I mean, it really requires a ton of work. But there's so few people that want to be in a straitjacket hanging from a helicopter. There's so many few people that think I should go underwater with weights and see if I can escape before I drown. Like, it's just a small market of
Yeah.
people that think that that's appropriate.
Well, I want to say about there's an airplane joke. I picked a bad week to, stop sniffing glue. So, I mean, a pandemic, that would be a bad week to stop watching TV. Like, that would not be the week you unplug and call the cable company.
Yeah.
So I want to say that the other day, I think it was yesterday, actually, I said, no more TV, and I unplugged my TV and I hid my remote. And the problem is I remembered where the remote was, and I knew exactly how to plug that sucker back in. So I was right back in.
How much TV do you watch a week, do you think? Let's be honest. This is an honest
Oh,
program. I'm
this
looking right
this
at your face. I'm looking right
yeah,
at you.
yeah, and
How many hours?
you can read how many I do already. So I'm
How
just
many
feeding.
hours?
God, it's scary. It's probably 21.
Yeah. When a lot of people use it as a before bedtime routine. See,
Right.
um, a strong part of my beginning of my career was as a hypnotist. And hypnosis is one of those things where repetition and habit forming things, like there's a number of factors that we call or tells that move forward when you're doing a show in hypnosis. And television is one of those things that you get very used to. And when I do hypnotherapy for people who are trying to quit smoking, as an example, I would say to them, take a look at how you smoke. And now I've never smoked, so it's I'm not judging anybody who does, but somebody who smokes, they use it as a punctuation. They do the dishes, they have a cigarette. They drive somewhere, they have a cigarette. They make dinner and clean up the dishes, they have a cigarette. They mow the backyard, they have a cigarette. Like, it's a punctuation. So what it is, it's a reward system that says at the end of doing something, I'm going to achieve it with this
Mhm.
gift. people who watch television tend to watch it the same day, same time. So that's why Wheel of Fortune, or pick whatever movie or show that you would want to watch, it's always on at a consistent time because it's very, very habit forming.
Right.
So people will say, oh, I'm going to watch 1 hour of TV before they go to bed. Well, they don't sleep if they don't get that TV. That's that system that they fall under. And as a father with children, I didn't want my children to fall into that idea of they have to get that punctuation opportunity before they can move forward in something, because I didn't want to put them in a situation where, as a parent, I would look at them and say, boy, I really want to take him to soccer practice, but without his TV, he's cranky in the car. I didn't want to build a system. So we just didn't introduce that system to the children under those circumstances. But when you say you do 21 hours or whatever
I
amount
lied.
a week,
It's 121. You're
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
catch me. It's
yeah.
it's substantially over 100 hours a week.
But yeah,
I
but
wasn't
that's
mad at
why.
you, Danny, because you said to start the show early, and I knew that was cutting an hour out of my TV time.
That's it. That's it. You Anybody who watches this and watches TV will look at it and realize that they're using TV as that punctuation. They're using it and saying, I'm going to watch this before I go to bed, or I'm going to watch this right after dinner. And it's an addiction. That's why it's so successful. And that's why people watch me on TV, is because they like to know at 8 o'clock Got Talent is on and they're going to watch that episode. So it's certainly provided for my family for many, many years. But once you realize that, and you realize you're applying yourself to something that's never going to benefit you in any way at all, you have to look at it and say, if you spent even 2 hours a day, this is a question for you, a serious, non-joking question.
Right.
If you spent 2 hours a day watching television, and you were talking to the people who watch this program and listen to you and learn from you, what could a person achieve in writing a book if they wrote for 2 hours a day?
Oh, I
No, like, that's a serious question. I'm just
serious
asking
question.
you.
They would knock out 12 books a year.
Yeah. What's the financial impact it would be to write out those books, to be an author, to grow and to talk to other authors and communicate and to build a legacy of your life by putting pen to paper? If you can afford to spend 2 hours a day watching a program that won't benefit you in any way, but you won't apply yourself 1 hour a day to writing about your life, you've lost. And that's where I look at my own success, is I don't waste the hour. If I look at the end of my day and I haven't achieved something that I believe is successful or I'm working towards my career, I put pen to paper. And that's why I have books.
Yep.
Otherwise, I wouldn't.
Well, the only reason I wrote 60 books was just to take 60 months off of TV. That's the only reason I did it.
Look at it, saved you. It saved you up.
It did.
Now.
I agree with you, and I don't do the couch potato lightly. I mean, I actually have potato chips, the whole thing. I mean, it's all in. The kiss of death is if someone tells you, oh my gosh, I just watched this series, it's so amazing, you have to immediately go, blah, blah, blah. You have to make it as loud as possible. There's no way you hear, because I have gotten consumed by Suits, what is it, The Queen's Gambit, and recently Lincoln Lawyer. I did the other day, and the reason I was so quick to say 21 is I said, I hope he doesn't see that it's really 46. I mean, I did 4 hours of the Lincoln Lawyer, because they have you hooked at the end of each show with the bodies in the car or whatever. So to your point, 100%, it is a time suck. And I don't watch sports for that reason, because I remember every week going to my mailbox and the team does not pay me to watch them lose or win.
That's it. So
I do want to show a couple of photos real quick. And this is you being cheery you. And actually, this was the first time I met you. It was at Mike's Story, and this was in Canada. And then this is us, and then you couldn't help yourself.
Yeah, well, that's what you get. That's what you get when you get with me. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was special. I thought you said you're getting on the bus. And I said, I'm happy to get on the bus.
Yeah. Listen, I have to say to you, this last hour has went by in a second.
And you have a meniscus to take care of.
And I'm not leaving yet, but I'm gonna leave very soon, and I need to kick that in. But effortless conversation, and we've barely even touched on anything. It's to do another hour or two would be effortless. When I think of you and my relationship with you and how you inspire so many people with writing in the books, and your son being such an impact in people on being, as him being an author, I have to say to you that when we do talk about that, that television or how we throw our time away. When people come to you and they say, wow, you've written all of these books or you've done that, what an incredible achievement, it must be difficult for you not to automatically jump in and say you can do it too, like that it's in you.
I do.
It's really it's time management and self-worth value.
So I hear the doctors are getting the meniscus tray ready to go.
Yeah, that's it.
So
That's it.
I would love to have you on for longer as well. But you know what that calls for? That just calls for a second show. When we do our Christmas book together, did you ever publish that?
No,
Good.
such a good book.
I'm glad you didn't, because that's my reason I get to say we get a second show. And
Yeah.
I do want to say that you have a wonderful book on Amazon. Well, the one I found, you have others. And it also is a great excuse for me to buy your books and have you for a second show. So let's consider this as God's way of just saying, we broke the ice. I got in the 111. I'm on the school bus. I'm nowhere near the exit door. Okay. But this is and I'm so glad that you took me off the cover. Danny had me on the
That's
cover.
right. It was you. Actually, what you don't see on the cover was it was actually you holding me into that position. You were underneath, holding up my shoulders like that. So, yeah.
Well, we'll go to the rapid fire exit. That'll take 5 minutes. Is that cool?
Okay.
Okay. Is
Jump
that good?
away.
Okay.
Yep.
So I have a total of 7 questions for you, and they're all quick to you and quick back to me.
I'll be done in 2 minutes.
All right, here we go. Book that
Yep.
changed your life.
The Wealthy Barber.
A movie that inspires you. I know you don't watch them.
Cinderella Man.
God bless you for that. James Blackard. And a song to get you going.
Enter Sandman.
Who's your hero?
My father.
Who would you like to meet you haven't met?
Well, I got you already here, so I can scratch that off my bucket list. That's a tough one. It's the first one that you stumped me. There's no rapid fire there. There's so many people that I find
you can
so
name 2 or 3
important.
if you want.
Yeah. There's so many people that I find so important or so influential that there's people that I would like to ask questions to. I'm not a sports person at all. I don't watch any sports. I'd love to talk to Wayne Gretzky for 5 minutes. I think that I'm just going to wrap it up with Wayne Gretzky, and the reason why I say that is because he was the GOAT. He was one of these greats. And it was only because he was so mentally strong that I would love to have a conversation with him. I knew his father very, very well. I did many shows with his father. And the inability to give up on anything is the reason why he was so successful. So the people who I would like to meet would be somebody like that with the mental capacity to never give up.
The last show you watched before you said no more TV?
America's Got Talent.
Was it? Okay.
Well, it wasn't the last show I watched, but I mean, I watch my own episodes sometimes, so that's
okay.
I still turn it on.
You ever go to the movies?
No, don't do that either.
And what was the craziest of the 17 as far as an experience? You don't have to go deep. Just what was the craziest country or the craziest?
2CQ Vallis.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my last question, since we've used quotes throughout, here we go. What quote do you live by?
You put me on. It's the same as that other story. There's so many things that are important or valid.
I'll let you do 2 or 3 if that helps.
Yeah,
you got to come up with one that says if you're not invited on the bus, don't even think about getting on.
Yeah, no, you know what I say in my talks all the time, and it's one of my favorite sayings to say is that I have a raging ignorance to doubt. That's my quote that I live by, is because, yeah, I'm more than confident that if I don't give up, I'll achieve.
Cool. How do people reach out to you? How do you get you on their show?
Listen, you just search Danny with 4 Z's on any device. You're going to find my website, my information, my contact information is right there. And I'm very touchable. I love being on shows, love being a part of anything that I can be. That's what it's all about.
Well, God bless you, Danny. I'm really excited that you're one of my 100 that I picked out of my Rolodex that are moving the world in the right direction. So thank you. Good luck on your meniscus, rehabilitation. I expect to be throwing you in the air again, doing cover shots for new books.
I love it.
I am serious. I would love to do that Christmas book with you. All right.
I love it. Thank you.
God bless.